Slash programs. Joining me now, CNN's education contributor Steve Perry and Jack Dale. He is the superintendent of schools in Fairfax County, Virginia. And Jack, let me start with you. Steve, great to see you. We'll talk in just a moment here. Jack, how are you closing your budget deficit? And boy, I've heard figures as high as $176 million. Maybe you can give us the real figure on that. Are we talking about even larger class sizes? Because we know you've increased class sizes. Are we talking about more personnel cuts, program eliminations? Are you even considering maybe a 4-day school week?
Yeah, when we were going through this particular budget cycle, we have to do it in the context of this is the third year in a row of cuts. And this year, what we were facing is probably equal to the prior 2 years combined. So this gets pretty serious in raising class size. We're closing some school, or a school. We're potentially looking at eliminating the elementary band and the strings program, foreign language programs. We come down to what is our core mission and what are our core educational priorities, and we just have to hunker down and do those.
What do you say to folks who say, well, okay, it's band. Get rid of band. It's second language. Teach them English better. You know, let's get back to the core mission. You get rid of that stuff.
Well, what you raised at the very beginning is we're doing some of this budget balancing on the backs of our kids. And so what I try and do with our community is say, let's not throw, you know, band against strings against full-day kindergarten and foreign language programs. We should be talking about what are the values and the aspirations of our community, and then we should be setting the tax rates. And all too often we're doing it in reverse order.
That's interesting. One more for you very quickly here. Yeah. Let me have you fill in the blank on this, just so that we have a baseline of understanding on this. You don't have the money to teach your students in the preferred way because of what?
Mainly in our situation, it's because of declining property values, both commercial and residential. 3/4 of my budget comes from the local county government, and over the last several years we've seen a decline, first in residential, and then now commercial tends to be, in some people's words, plummeting.
Have you received stimulus money?
Yeah, we did last year. We received federal stimulus money. It comes in 3 forms. One, direct aid via the state, which we can use for a lot of different programs. And then we had a doubling of our Title I funds, going from about $7 million to $14 million. And then a doubling of our special education, or IDEA funds, which likewise helped us out. But that cliff, if you will, comes to us the following year. A year from now, we have to be planning for the fall of, I guess that would be 2011 or so.
Are you considering a 4-day school week? And then I'll turn to Steve.
We are not yet considering a 4-day work week. We are looking at potentially, if we have to, we would look at furloughing some people, but we would still run our 180 school days.
Wow. Steve, I know you were talking about this whole concept. There are a couple of school districts around the country that have gone to this 4-day work week, school week, and I know you don't like the idea. You were talking about it on Campbell Brown's program last night. Make your case as to why this is a bad idea in your view.
It's not even so much whether I like it or dislike it, it's just what works. We know that those countries that outperform the United States have longer school years and shorter school days. The 4-day work week would require a shorter school week, shorter school year, and a longer school day. The single indicator that we can use to improve children's performance, above all else, and you know, when you consider, of course, teacher quality is the given, is more time on task. While smaller classrooms would appear to be the logical progression and the logical solution, it's not in and of itself the best solution. I understand the superintendent is like so many superintendents out there who has decreasing revenue and at least labor costs that are maintained. So therein lies the gap, as well as other costs like fuel costs, and we have to ask the community. This is where the community comes in. The community can help out here and say to the superintendent, some of us can help you out and volunteer in band. Some of us can teach some of it. We don't need parents to come in and teach every single course, but we may need you to do a little bit after school so that we can take it out of the school day but still make it available to your children.
Jack, does that make sense as a suggestion?
Yeah. Actually, it does, and we have some of our elementary schools are looking at providing a foreign language program after school on their own, out of their own expenses, and so it does make sense. And then if we have to cut some of our music programs, then they would likewise take a look at doing some of those kinds of things. The other thing that we have in some of our elementary schools even is parents who are certified to substitute in schools, in the classroom, actually come in and basically volunteer to help avoid us expending substitute costs.
Okay.
The superintendent requires all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Also, the superintendent, when you come to the Board of Education meetings and you're yelling and you're shouting at the wrong person. He didn't create the situation. He's simply trying to make the best out of it. And he's not. He and so many other superintendents all over this country are trying to find a way to make the best out of this situation that we're in now. The recession.
You know what? Let me do this. I want to see if I can squeeze in. Maybe I'll just read two of these, Joe, and maybe get Jack and Steve the comment.